Imagine being trapped in a small wooden boat in the middle of a pitch-black lake. The waves are crashing over the sides, the wind is screaming, and you are 100% convinced that this is the end. You look over at the one person who is supposed to save you, and he's fast asleep. In Matthew, Mark, and Luke, we find the disciples in a life-or-death survival story on the Sea of Galilee. But when you compare the accounts, the story shifts from a simple miracle to a deep psychological study of faith under fire. Today, we're looking at why Mark mentions a specific pillow, why Matthew turns a panic attack into a prayer meeting, and the one accusation the disciples hurled at Jesus that we usually skip over in Sunday school. First, we have to understand the geography. Luke tells us a windstorm came down on the lake. He doesn't just say it started. He uses a specific Greek word implying a downward gust. Because the Sea of Galilee is 700 feet below sea level and surrounded by mountains, cool air drops suddenly into the warm basin, creating a wind tunnel effect. This wasn't just a rainy day. This was a localized hurricane. Luke, our resident reporter, adds that the boat was filling with water. They weren't just scared, they were sinking. Now let's look at Jesus. Mark provides a detail that neither Matthew nor Luke mention. He says Jesus was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. Why does that matter? This is a classic eyewitness detail. It tells us that Jesus was physically exhausted, likely from the very crowds we saw in our last video, and that he was in the place where the helmsman usually sat. He wasn't just resting. He was out cold on the boat's specific leather seat cushion while a hurricane raged around him. It's the ultimate picture of divine peace versus human panic. This is where the accounts get really interesting. Look at how the disciples wake him up because their words reveal their hearts. In Matthew, they cry out, "Lord, save us, we are perishing." This sounds like a prayer. It's respectful. In Luke, they shout, "Master, Master, we are perishing." It's a cry for a commander to take charge. But in Mark, they are brutal. They ask, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" That is a huge difference. They weren't just asking for a miracle, they were attacking his character. They were accusing God of being indifferent to their suffering. Have you ever felt that way? Like God is asleep while your life is sinking. Mark is the only one brave enough to record that raw, ugly moment of doubt. When Jesus finally stands up, he doesn't pray. He doesn't ask the Father for help. He speaks to the wind as if it's a person or a pet. In Mark, he says, "Peace, be still." In the original Greek, it's closer to, "Hush, be muzzled." He treats the storm like a wild animal that needs to be put in its place. The result? A great calm. Not a slow fading of the wind, but an immediate, unnatural glassiness on the water. The story ends with a fascinating shift. At the beginning, the disciples were afraid of the storm. But at the end, after the miracle, Mark and Luke tell us they were afraid and marveled. They moved from a cowardly fear of death to a holy awe of the man standing in the boat. They realized that having Jesus in the boat doesn't mean you won't hit a storm. It means the storm has met its master. It's fascinating to see how these three perspectives come together. Matthew shows us the disciples reaching for their Lord. Luke shows us the clinical reality of the sinking boat. Mark gives us the cushion and the raw accusation. Don't you care? The next time you feel like you're sinking, remember, the disciples thought the silence of Jesus meant the indifference of Jesus. They were wrong. His silence was actually the evidence of his peace. If this comparison helped you see this story in a new way, hit the like button. And tell me in the comments, which version of the disciples' cry do you relate to more, Matthew's prayer or Mark's honest struggle? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next study.